Imagine waking up to find that the fastest growing cities in Canada are suddenly the ones people are desperate to escape. Home prices crashing, jobs evaporating, neighborhoods emptying almost overnight, and you won't believe which city lands at number one. Some of these places were booming just a few years ago, and now they're on the edge of a full-blown collapse. Before we dive in, make sure you like, share, and subscribe right now. It helps more than you think, and you don't want to miss the shocking countdown ahead. Stay tuned. Number 10. Saint John, New Brunswick. Saint John looks peaceful and historic on the surface, with beautiful old buildings and Atlantic charm. But beneath that, the city is struggling with population decline, job stagnation, and a housing market now crashing harder than expected in 2026. What was once a quiet, affordable refuge is now becoming a warning sign for smaller Canadian cities. Population about 69,000 2026 estimate, area 126 square miles, around 550 people per square mile. Saint John faces long, wet winters with heavy snow, icy winds, and freezing rain that routinely knocks out power. The city is hit with strong Atlantic storms that flood low-lying areas and damage shoreline infrastructure. In 2026, analysts expect another round of unusually cold weeks, followed by sudden thaws that strain roads, pipes, and emergency crews. The economy depends on port activity, oil refining, healthcare, and retail, and these sectors are facing contraction. Irving refinery output fluctuations affect thousands of jobs, and retail closures increased after inflation squeezed consumer spending. Young workers keep leaving for Halifax and Toronto, creating a talent gap that employers can't fill. Job growth through 2026 is projected to remain flat. Housing was once cheap, but after a short pandemic boom, the 2026 correction hit hard. With median home prices hovering around $275,000 2026 estimate, sellers are taking losses, and new construction has slowed dramatically. Winter heating costs are heavy due to long, cold spells, and many older neighborhoods suffer from outdated wiring, drafty homes, and weak insulation. Transit is limited, pushing most residents toward car dependency. Saint John still offers coastal views, historic streets, and low crime rates that appeal to retirees and quiet life seekers. The waterfront, parks, and slower pace provide genuine charm, but ultimately, it's a place many love to visit, yet few see as a stable long-term home in 2026.
Number 9. Windsor, Ontario. Windsor sits right across from Detroit with a massive automotive legacy, and for decades, that identity carried the entire city. But in 2026, Windsor is becoming one of the hardest-hit cities in Canada's housing downturn, as manufacturing volatility and population stagnation collide at the worst possible time. Population about 345,000, metro, 2026 estimate. Area 146 square miles, roughly 2,300 people per square mile. Windsor gets scorching summers and surprisingly cold, windy winters. Heat waves have become more intense, straining energy grids and raising air conditioning bills. The city also faces frequent thunderstorms and occasional tornado risks. Winters bring lake-effect snow that piles up suddenly and disrupts transit across the region. Windsor's economy revolves around auto manufacturing, cross-border trade, and some tech, but 2026 has been unstable. EV transitions forced major plants to restructure, and layoffs rippled through both auto and parts suppliers. Cross-border traffic slowed as U.S. companies shifted contracts elsewhere. Job competition is rising while wages fail to keep up with living costs. Median home prices fell sharply to around $420,000 2026 estimate after the market cooled, but affordability hasn't improved because mortgage rates and insurance premiums keep rising. Windsor's aging roads and bridges require constant repair, while public transit remains thin and unreliable. Utilities are also climbing, with summer cooling costs hitting record levels. Windsor still offers riverfront views, a good food scene, and easy access to U.S. entertainment and shopping. Its mix of urban convenience and cross-border culture gives it a unique vibe that visitors appreciate. Still, in 2026, Windsor is a city people enjoy for a weekend, but fewer are willing to gamble their future on. Number 8. Regina, Saskatchewan. Regina is wide, open, and proud, a prairie city full of potential, but facing one of its toughest moments in decades. As the 2026 housing crash spreads across mid-sized cities, Regina is feeling the squeeze from stagnant wages, rising utility costs, and people quietly moving away for bigger job markets. Population about 242,000, metro, 2026 estimate. Area 70 square miles, roughly 3,450 people per square mile. Regina's winters are brutally cold, freezing winds, blizzards, and weeks of sub-zero temperatures that make even short commutes painful. Summers swing to the opposite extreme, hot, dry, and prone to drought. These intense weather shifts strain infrastructure, break water lines, and increase monthly heating and cooling bills year-round. Regina relies heavily on government administration, agriculture, mining, and small-scale manufacturing. But 2026 brings uncertainty. Provincial government freezes have slowed hiring, droughts have hurt agricultural output, and resource sector jobs are increasingly automated. Many young workers look to leave for Calgary or Vancouver, reducing the city's long-term economic momentum. Median home prices are down to around $315,000, 2026 estimate, after the correction, but this hasn't attracted new residents because wages haven't kept up with inflation. Heating bills remain some of the highest in Canada due to long winters, and road maintenance is a constant battle against the freeze-thaw cycle. Public transit is limited and aging, pushing most people to rely on cars. Regina still has beautiful parks, a vibrant Rough Riders fan culture, and peaceful prairie sunsets. The city offers space, affordability compared to larger metros, and a slower, family-friendly pace. Yet, despite those strengths, in 2026, Regina paints Regina as a place people love to visit, but fewer are choosing to build a long-term future in.
Number 7. Sudbury, Ontario. Sudbury is known for its rugged northern landscape, thousands of lakes, mining heritage, and surprising natural beauty. But in 2026, it's battling population decline, job shifts, and a housing downturn that's hitting harder than expected for a city built around a single dominant industry. Population about 170,000, metro, 2026 estimate. Area 1,230 square miles, about 140 people per square mile. Sudbury's climate is long, snowy, and frigid. Winters stretch nearly half the year, with average snowfall well above national levels. The area sees bitter Arctic air masses, icy highways, and frequent winter storm warnings that strain emergency services. Summers are pleasant but short, offering only a small break from heating bills. Sudbury's economy is deeply tied to mining, especially nickel, and that's both its strength and vulnerability. In 2026, global metal demand has been unstable, leading to production cuts and fewer high-paying mining jobs. Remote work hasn't boosted the city the way it helped others, and youth outmigration continues as students leave for Toronto, Ottawa, or Western Canada. Median home prices have dropped to around $395,000, 2026 estimate, but affordability remains shaky due to rising interest rates and declining wages. Sudbury's spread-out geography makes driving essential, and fuel costs hit harder here than in urban centers. The city's aging road network struggles with constant repairs, while internet access varies widely across neighborhoods. Sudbury shines when it comes to outdoor recreation, lakes, trails, fishing spots, and northern wilderness. The community is friendly, and crime rates are relatively moderate compared to larger Ontario cities. But in 2026, Sudbury is becoming a place people admire for its nature, yet hesitate to commit to as a long-term home. Number 6. Kelowna, British Columbia. Kelowna is stunning, warm beaches, mountains, and sunshine almost year-round. But behind the resort town glow, 2026 has exposed serious cracks in its housing market, its job stability, and its affordability. What was one of Canada's fastest-growing small cities is now slowing sharply. Population about 235,000, Metro, 2026 estimate. Area 82 square miles, around 2,850 people per square mile. Kelowna's climate is beautiful but unpredictable. Summers are hot, dry, and increasingly at risk of wildfire smoke that can blanket the entire valley. Winters are mild compared to the prairies, but ice storms and sudden deep freezes still cause disruptions. Water shortages and drought warnings continue into 2026, raising concerns for long-term livability. Kelowna depends on tourism, real estate, and tech startups, and all four sectors have softened. Tourism slowed after 2025 due to wildfire seasons and global economic uncertainty. Real estate speculation dropped, construction projects paused. Meanwhile, remote tech companies are relocating to cities with larger talent pools. Housing costs remain extreme. Median home prices sit around $795,000, 2026 estimate, even after declines. High mortgage rates, insurance hikes after wildfire seasons, and rising utilities push many families to the edge. Public transit is limited, forcing car ownership, and fuel costs run higher here than the national average. Healthcare wait times are longer than most cities its size. Despite everything, Kelowna offers a gorgeous lakeside lifestyle, ski resorts, hiking, and one of Canada's sunniest climates. It's still a dream vacation spot. But in 2026, it's becoming clear, Kelowna is a place people adore visiting, but can't afford to fully settle into anymore.
Number 5. Moncton, New Brunswick. Moncton has been one of Atlantic Canada's big comeback stories, growing fast, attracting newcomers, and feeling more energetic than ever. But 2026 marks a turning point as the housing market cools sharply and the city's job base shows signs of stress. Beneath the friendly atmosphere, Moncton is facing challenges that could reshape the next decade. Population about 178,000, Metro 2026 estimate, area 55 square miles, roughly 3,200 people per square mile. Moncton's winters are long, snowy, and windy, with frequent nor'easter storms that shut down roads and disrupt power. The region sees freezing rain more often than much of Canada, creating dangerous commutes. Summers are warm but humid, and heavy rainfall causes regular flooding concerns. Moncton's economy depends on customer support centers, logistics, transportation, and small business retail, and these sectors are now vulnerable. Automation has cut hundreds of call center positions, and some logistics firms have shifted to cheaper U.S. routes. Retail is thinning out as inflation hits consumer spending. Job growth in 2026 is weaker than expected, and wages lag behind national averages. Median home prices are down to roughly $360,000, 2026 estimate, after rapid early 2020s growth. But affordability is slipping because insurance costs, rent, and utilities keep rising. Transit options are improving but remain limited, and the city struggles with outdated water and road systems. Heating expenses hit hard during Moncton's long winter months. Moncton has a friendly culture, bilingual communities, and quick access to beaches, national parks, and family attractions. Its size makes daily life simple and convenient. Still, in 2026, Moncton looks more like a city caught between growth and collapse, loved by visitors but harder to thrive in long term. Number 4. Edmonton, Alberta. Edmonton is massive, energetic, and full of potential. Yet in 2026, it's becoming one of Canada's most vulnerable major cities as the housing downturn collides with rising living costs and a heavily energy-dependent economy. The city still offers space and affordability compared to Toronto or Vancouver, but it's struggling to keep up as economic pressures mount. Population about 1,225,000, Metro 2026 estimate, area 362 square miles, roughly 3,300 people per square mile. Edmonton's winters are famous for a reason: bitter cold, extreme wind chills, and long stretches of darkness. Temperatures regularly plunge far below freezing for months, driving up heating bills and stressing road networks. Summers are warm but humid, and heavy rainfall causes regular flooding concerns. In 2026, forecasters expect another heavy winter season that will task both infrastructure and budgets. Edmonton depends on government services, energy, construction, and healthcare, sectors that offer stability but limited growth. The 2026 energy slowdown, combined with unpredictable oil prices, has caused job freezes and fewer major projects. Construction has stalled after the housing correction, and many workers are shifting to Calgary or BC for opportunities. Tech and finance remain small compared to other big cities, limiting diversification. Median home prices sit around $420,000, 2026 estimate, after the housing correction, but rising interest rates erase much of the benefit. Heating is expensive due to long winters, and road maintenance budgets can't keep up with freeze-thaw damage. Public transit improvements are ongoing but slow, and commuting times are growing. Insurance and utility costs also remain above the national average. Edmonton shines when it comes to festivals, green space, river valley trails, and a strong arts community. Families appreciate the lower home prices and open space. But in 2026, Edmonton risks becoming a city people admire for affordability, yet move away from when better job markets call.
Number 3. Calgary, Alberta. Calgary has long been a symbol of opportunity. Booming suburbs, high-paying jobs, and rapid growth tied to Canada's energy sector. But in 2026, the city faces a crossroads, a slowing job market, a shaky housing sector, and a population surge that infrastructure can't keep up with. Calgary is still thriving in many ways, but the cracks are becoming harder to ignore. Population about 1,745,000, Metro 2026 estimate. Area 318 square miles, around 5,480 people per square mile. Calgary's weather is famously chaotic. One day brings Chinook winds melting snow within hours, and the next brings sudden cold snaps, dropping temperatures by 20 degrees. Winters are long and dry, summers are hot, and wildfire smoke has become a recurring problem. In 2026, forecasters warned that air quality days could hit record highs. Calgary's economy still revolves around energy, finance, construction, and tech, but oil price instability has led to slower hiring, and major companies are pausing expansions. Tech startups that boomed in the early 2020s are downsizing or moving operations to the U.S. Construction jobs fell sharply after housing demand cooled, and many skilled workers face uncertain prospects heading into 2026. Median home prices hover around $565,000, 2026 estimate, lower than Toronto or Vancouver, but still rising too fast for local wages. Rent continues rising due to limited supply and strict zoning. Insurance premiums spike after repeated floods, and groceries cost more because of supply chain constraints. Public transit is reliable but overcrowded, while fuel costs remain among the highest in Canada. Despite the crisis, Calgary remains breathtaking. Beaches, hiking trails, ski mountains, world-class restaurants, and vibrant neighborhoods keep visitors mesmerized. But in 2026, Calgary is increasingly seen as a place with huge promise, yet a future clouded by economic uncertainty and rising costs. Number 2. Vancouver, British Columbia. Vancouver is one of the most beautiful cities on Earth. Ocean on one side, mountains on the other, and forests weaving right into the urban core. But in 2026, the very city that once symbolized limitless prosperity is becoming one of Canada's most fragile markets. The housing crash, job instability, and climate pressures are hitting Vancouver harder than most expected. Population about 2,765,000, Metro 2026 estimate. Area 44 square miles, roughly 6,200 people per square mile. Vancouver's mild reputation is fading fast. Winters bring atmospheric river storms that flood highways, shut down ferry routes, and damage homes with relentless rainfall. Landslides and road washouts are becoming yearly events. Summers are smoky, dry, and increasingly at risk of water restrictions. In 2026, forecasters warned that one of the most intense wildfire smoke seasons yet. The city's economy relies on tourism, real estate, tech, and film, and 3 of those 4 are shrinking. Tourism bookings are inconsistent, film production has slowed after budget cuts, and the real estate industry is contracting after years of speculation. Tech firms are shifting jobs to cheaper U.S. hubs. In 2026, job growth remains one of the weakest among major Canadian cities. Even after price declines, the median home still sits around $1.05 million, 2026 estimate, brutally unaffordable for the average worker. Rent continues rising due to limited supply and strict zoning. Insurance premiums spike after repeated floods, and groceries cost more because of supply chain constraints. Public transit is reliable but overcrowded, while fuel costs remain among the highest in Canada. Despite the crisis, Vancouver remains breathtaking.
Beaches, hiking trails, ski mountains, world-class restaurants, and vibrant neighborhoods keep visitors mesmerized. But in 2026, Vancouver is increasingly seen as a place people love to experience, but can no longer realistically afford to call home.
Number 1. Toronto, Ontario. Toronto is the economic engine of Canada. Skyscrapers, global companies, massive diversity, and enough activity to fill a dozen cities. But in 2026, Toronto sits at the top of this list because the housing crash, job volatility, and extreme cost of living pressures have collided into a perfect storm. The city that once promised endless opportunity is now pushing people out at record speed. Population, about 3,150,000, 2026 estimate. Area, 243 square miles, about 13,000 people per square mile. Toronto faces more unpredictable weather than ever. Brutal winter storms, sudden freezes, and summer heat waves that push power grids to the edge. Flooding from Lake Ontario affects waterfront communities, while heavy snow creates transit chaos. In 2026, experts expect multiple severe storm cycles that will push infrastructure past its limits. Toronto's economy, once dominated by finance, real estate, healthcare, and tech, is slowing dramatically. Tech layoffs continue into early 2026, banks are outsourcing operations to cheaper provinces, and small businesses are closing under rising rents and utilities. Immigration keeps the city growing, but job creation can't keep pace, leading to intense competition for stable positions. Even after a steep correction, median home prices hover around $915,000, 2026 estimate. Most buyers still can't qualify due to high interest rates. Rent remains among the highest in North America. Gridlock worsens every year, transit is overcrowded, and energy bills climb with each extreme weather season. Insurance premiums have surged as basements flood and roofs sustain storm damage. Toronto still offers incredible food, music, nightlife, culture, and community. Its diversity creates one of the richest urban experiences in the world. But by 2026, Toronto has become a place people dream of, but can't realistically afford to build a stable life in anymore. As we've seen, Canada's most iconic and beautiful cities are not immune to the pressures of 2026. From Toronto's sky-high housing prices to Vancouver's fragile job market, and from smaller hubs like Moncton and Saint John to growing cities like Kelowna and Calgary, the story is the same. Affordability is collapsing. Jobs are unstable, and extreme weather and infrastructure strain make daily life tougher than ever. These cities still offer stunning scenery, culture, and opportunity, which is why people keep visiting, but fewer and fewer can realistically stay long-term. If this countdown surprised you, or you didn't expect some of these cities to make the list, smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next shocking Canadian city ranking. Which city shocked you the most? Comment below. We want to hear your thoughts.